The world was loud. It was filled with the screams of the strong and the tears of the weak. And then a silence fell that was louder than all of it. He didn't speak of mercy.
No.
He spoke of dimensions.
I have seen your righteousness.
300 cubits of wood
Build an ark.
to hold the future of the world. And the sky was still blue. I picked up the tool, not because I saw the clouds, but because I heard the word. The end began with a single line in the dust. It began with a single strike, a declaration of war against the world as we knew it. Every inch of the ark would be paid for in sweat and blood. They called it gopher wood, strong enough to hold the weight of 1,000 storms. But to the world it was just wood, and I was just a fool. When the first tree hit the ground, the earth trembled. It was the only warning they would get, but nobody was listening. It had to be perfect. One pinprick of light, one crack in the grain, and the ocean would claim us. We were painting our salvation in black. The smell of the resin filled our lungs and stained our skin. To the world, we were monsters covered in soot. To the voice, we were preparing a womb. Inside and out we sealed the wood. Between the life we knew and the death that was coming, there was only a thin layer of dark stone and prayer. They were the sons of the fallen, men of renown who had filled the earth with blood. They didn't mock the wood. They sensed the judgment it held. When they arrived, the laughter of the village died. They stood like mountains of bronze, watching the box that was built to outlive them. They thought their strength would save them from the storm. They thought the earth belonged to them.
Brother, stop. Look to
The voice doesn't bow to giants. It was a house built for a family that hadn't arrived. A hollow mountain of wood, waiting for the heartbeat of the world to fill it. 3 stories of cypress, one for the small, one for the great, and one for the light. We built it by the cubit, but we felt it by the soul. The air inside was still and cold. It smelled of resin and expectation. Soon the silence would be broken by the cry of every living thing. We gathered the life of the field, every seed, every fruit, every blade of grass. The Creator was feeding a world that didn't know it was hungry. The earth had never looked so beautiful as it did the day we knew we had to leave it. A paradise of stone and stem, soon to be a memory of salt and water. We filled the storehouses until the wood groaned. 1 year of food for a journey with no map. We worked until the sun hid its face. I didn't have to call them. They heard a voice I couldn't hear, a frequency of survival that bypassed the hunter and the hunted. The lion laid down its hunger, the deer forgot its fear. In the shadow of the judgment, the wild found a peace the world of men had rejected. They came in pairs,
The work of men is over.
a living thread
The
of
work
every
the
breath
Spirit
on earth,
has begun.
weaving its way into the heart of the wood. The earth was emptying itself. The wood didn't just hold them, it breathed with them. The ark was no longer a box of cypress, it was a living heart, beating in the middle of a graveyard. The growl of the lion met the coo of the dove, 1,000 languages of the wild, all speaking the same word: life. They left the world of the sun for the world of the shadow. They chose the dark of the wood over the light of the end. The hardest part wasn't the building, it was the waiting. 7 days of a blue sky that felt like a lie told by the heavens. They were right, weren't they? The sun was still there, the dust was still dry. Every hour we sat in the dark, the world's laughter grew louder. On the 7th day, the air went dead. No wind, no birds, just the sound of my own heart, counting the seconds until the world ended. If I didn't reach for the rope, I didn't pull the lever, the hand that had sketched the stars was the hand that pulled the door. The laughter died, the music stopped. In one heartbeat, the world of men was on one side, and the hope of the world was on the other. When the wood met the wood, it wasn't just a door closing, it was a period at the end of a sentence. The time for talking was over. It didn't start with a storm. It started with a scream from the bones of the earth. The fountains of the deep, they didn't just open, they burst. The foundations of the world were being undone. The water that had stayed in its place since the first day was coming home to claim the land. The earth beneath us was no longer solid. It was a liquid grave. And the ark. The ark was the only thing that didn't belong to the sea. The earth let us go. The wood screamed. The rope snapped. For one heartbeat, we were weightless. The ark was no longer a house. It was a ghost. The laughter was gone. The music was gone. Only the sound of the rain remained. 1 trillion hammers pounding on a world that was already dead. We didn't sail away. The world just sank. We stayed where we were, while everything we had ever known descended into the deep. The sky had become a hammer. For 40 days and 40 nights, the world was a drum, and we were the heartbeat inside it. We forgot the colour of the sun. We forgot the smell of the earth. We lived in a world of wet wood, shifting shadows, and the breath of the wild. The water didn't just rise around us, it sat on us. 1 billion tons of judgment, pushing down on the only 300 cubits of hope left in the universe. The hammer stopped, the sky went dry, and for a moment I thought my heart had stopped with it. The world was finally quiet. There was no north, no south, no shore to dream of. We were drifting on the mirror of the sky over a graveyard 5 miles deep. We were the only heartbeats left in the universe, a family of 8 carried by a box of wood through a world that had forgotten the name of land. I sent the shadow to find the light, a creature of the air to see if the earth was still there, or if it had been forgotten forever. The raven didn't look back. It flew into a world without a shore, a scavenger looking for a place to rest its feet in a kingdom of salt. It came back to the window over and over with nothing but wet feathers and a tired heart. The deep was still holding its breath. I sent the white one,
Go forth, gentle
not
dove.
to scavenge,
Find us
but
dry
to
land in this
search,
silent world.
to see if the spirit of the earth had finally let out its breath. It flew where the raven wouldn't. It sought the green. It sought the life that was buried under 1,000 fathoms of judgment. The bird didn't come back that day, and for the first time in a year, the silence inside the ark felt like a prayer. It didn't come back empty. It brought the world back to us in its beak. One small green leaf, the most beautiful thing I have ever seen. The waters were receding. Somewhere a mountain was breathing again. Somewhere the mud was turning back into a garden. The leaf was a promise written in chlorophyll. The king of the storm was finished. The father of the field was coming back. The world caught us, a violent, rocky embrace that nearly shattered the woods. After a year of ghosts, we felt the bones of the earth. The swaying stopped, the groaning died. For the first time in an age, the floor beneath my feet didn't move. We were home, even if home was a mountain top. We were perched between the sky and the deep, waiting for the mud to dry, waiting for the command to breathe the air of a world that was reborn. The wood had held, the pitch had stayed, but the house of our survival was becoming a prison. It was time to breathe. The air didn't smell like the world we left. It was cold. It was sharp. It was the scent of a world that had been washed clean of everything, including us. We stood at the edge of the wood, looking at a kingdom of stone. The door was open. The judgment was over. The beginning was here. We gave back to the earth what the earth had given to us. A scent of gratitude rising from the stones, meeting the gaze of the one who remembered us. Then the light broke. A bridge of colour that the water could never wash away. A sign written in the air that the storm would never be the final word again. The ark is silent now. The work is done. We are no longer survivors. We are the beginning. And the sky is finally ours.